This summer, I had the opportunity to visit Valleyfair in Shakopee, Minnesota for the first time. This was the original Cedar Fair park, along with of course Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. I think Valleyfair offers a very unique experience when compared to the other Cedar Fair parks. I can't wait to share my thoughts about it with you. I'll be sharing what I liked about the park, as well as what I didn't like about the park. Let's start off with what I liked about Valleyfair. First of all, it's a very beautiful park, very nice landscaping, and it looks very well maintained. Planet Snoopy especially has some really pretty water features and flowers. Not to mention the Route 76 area of the park is very colorful and vibrant. To me, it feels like Valleyfair gives a lot of attention to landscaping and decoration, which I think is great. Just about every area of this park is extremely picturesque. Whether it's the Corkscrew coaster above the pond, Planet Snoopy, Route 76, I just love all the scenery in Valleyfair. And next, I must say that Valleyfair has some good rides. Steel Venom in particular was the standout attraction for me. That ride is so much fun. But Valleyfair is also home to some good rides such as Wild Thing, Renegade, and Excalibur. But let me emphasize the fact that these are good rides. Not great rides, not amazing rides, just good. I think there's a lot of things Valleyfair does that holds these rides back from being great, but I'll get into that more later. For now, let's keep focusing on what I liked about Valleyfair. Another thing I really liked about Valleyfair was the offering of seasonal events and live entertainment. When I was at Valleyfair, they were celebrating the International Festival, and areas of the park were heavily decorated for it. It was really cool. The Grand Carnival at Valleyfair was very similar to the Grand Carnival at Kings Island, but honestly, I think Valleyfair did it better. I didn't try any of the food or any of the other offerings, but looking at all of the scenery for the event, I think they did a great job. Valleyfair also had live music on the midways while I was there. Not for the Grand Carnival, I think this is a year-round thing. There was a band dressed as construction workers and they were playing drums. It was pretty cool. I think it added a lot of energy to the park, and it was a nice thing to see. Now, let's get into what I didn't like about Valleyfair. First of all, let's circle back to the rides. Earlier, I said most of the rides were good, but not great. So why is that? Well, first of all, the operations at this ride are awful. Some of the worst ride operations I've ever seen at any amusement park. I was at Corkscrew, which had a station wait, and I ended up waiting almost 45 minutes because every dispatch took 10 to 15 minutes. There was absolutely no reason for it other than the workers just being slow and not caring. Most of the other rides were pretty bad too, upwards of 5-minute dispatches. Now I was there on a very light day, but I could not imagine being here on a busy day. You'd be waiting hours. At the rate they dispatch trains, they'd be lucky to dispatch 300 people an hour. Most of these rides are designed to dispatch more than 1,000 people per hour, but there's no way that is ever happening at Valleyfair with ride operations like this. Having to wait upwards of 30 minutes for 3 trains to dispatch from Corkscrew significantly took away from my experience. I was waiting for the back row and there were only 6 people ahead of me. I see absolutely no reason to wait 45 minutes for 3 trains. A good portion of my day was just spent waiting for Corkscrew when there was no reason to be. No ride operator should be taking 15 minutes to dispatch a train. You might be thinking, well, maybe the ride went down or maybe there was a mechanical issue. No, I don't think so. To me, it appeared like the ride operators were just being lazy. I think this is something very minor that has a very major impact. I would really like to see the ride operations at Valleyfair improve. That means quicker dispatches on every ride, and every roller coaster running multiple trains, even on the slow days. Next, another thing I really didn't like is how every ride feels like it's being neglected. I think so many of these rides are good, and they could be great, but Valleyfair is holding them back. Their hypercoaster, Wild Thing, looks like it would have airtime, but it comes to almost a full stop on the mid-course brake run. The rest of the ride after that feels like it's at a snail's pace. There's no airtime, no forces, but I think there should be. I've heard rumors that they do this to save on maintenance costs, as more forces would cause more wear and tear, but that makes no sense to me. I really hope they wouldn't slow the roller coaster down just to save some money, but once again that's just a rumor. I think Wild Thing without the trim brakes would be a great ride, but unfortunately it comes to a crawl halfway through the ride and it's not that special. Also, when I was there, Renegade was really rough. I don't know when the last time this ride was retracked, but it felt very rough in the front row. To me, Renegade looked like a great GCI, but the roughness really took away from it. I would really love for Valleyfair to retrack Renegade and show this ride some love. To be honest, I think that goes for all of the roller coasters at Valleyfair. I think they all need some TLC. And that leads me into another thing I didn't like about Valleyfair. At times, it feels like this park's been forgotten. The last time Valleyfair got a new roller coaster was in 2007 with Renegade. The last major addition in general was in 2018 when they got Delirious, a Larson Superloop, but other than a couple flat rides, it's been years since Valleyfair's gotten a major addition. It kind of feels like Cedar Fair has forgotten about this park, and I think the public is starting to notice. Valleyfair is just 30 minutes away from Minneapolis, a very big city with lots of tourists. I thought for sure this park would be incredibly busy, especially because I went on a Saturday, but there was hardly anyone there. I think very few people from Minneapolis and Minnesota in general are going to visit Valleyfair when it's been over 5 years since any notable additions. And I don't think many tourists in general are going to go out of their way to visit Valleyfair either. I imagine Valleyfair would be like if I traveled back in time to Kings Island in 1990 and the two biggest attractions were Vortex and the Beast. Obviously, I was born after 1990, so I don't know what that was like, but I imagine it being like Valleyfair. Their roller coasters aren't the best, or the biggest, or the fastest, but it's what they got. Obviously, it's almost 2024 now, and the amusement industry has changed a lot. In some aspects, I think Valleyfair needs to get with the times. I'm sure Wild Thing drew lots of crowds when it opened in 1996, but frankly, I don't think it's drawing many crowds anymore, especially not when it's trimmed to death. In general, I think Valleyfair is a beautiful park with lots of potential, but none of that potential is utilized, and the poor ride operations and the lack of investment really hold the park back in my opinion. I think this park is just bursting with potential. It has such a solid foundation with some really good supporting rides. It could just use a few more standout attractions, and it would be a great park. Now, I know in this video I've been pretty harsh and critical of Valleyfair, but in all honesty, I did enjoy my visit. I would definitely recommend a visit to Valleyfair, but I would recommend lowering your expectations a little bit beforehand. I don't think this park has anything too special to offer, and I don't think you should go too far out of your way to get to it. If you're in the area or within 3 hours of Valleyfair, I'd say go just to experience Steel Venom. Other than that, I don't think it's worth planning a trip just for Valleyfair alone. If you've ever been to Valleyfair, I'd love to hear if you agree or disagree with me, and let me know your own thoughts down in the comments below. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.